This is Money Moves on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Welcome in to Money Moves, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network, Sirius XM Channel 158. He's Jonathan Von Tobel. I'm Stormy Bonantoni. We're live as always in downtown Las Vegas, Circa Resort and Casino. Lots to get to on the show today, including some Major League Baseball that's in action right now. JVT, we've got two games that are live. One, unfortunately, that's in a rain delay. Rays and Guardians didn't start on time. Your beloved Angels and White Sox scoreless right now in the bottom of three. We're also scoreless in Mariners Twins, so hopefully we'll get some runs to talk about here in a little bit. I did want to ask you about your Angels yesterday, though, because we were talking so much about how great Jose Soriano has started this season. Last game that he started, you felt like regression could be coming. It didn't, but it did yesterday a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you expect that that's going to be the case. You just can't keep pitching at that level. And by the way, his ERA is still under 1, so the guy's still having a pretty strong
Second
season.
best ERA in Major League Baseball.
Yep, but yesterday for Soriano, a much more mortal stat line. 5 innings pitched, 3 earned runs, does strike out 6, but the big number for him is that he gets taken deep twice in the start against the Chicago White Sox. Angels lose 5-2. Not a good few hours here for the Angels for 2 reasons. First off, Soriano looking a little bit mortal. Second, I was going to offer up an in-game opportunity for folks, but it has already struck. The White Sox are now minus 332 on the in-game line over at DraftKings and some other places because Yusei Kikuchi out already. He started this, pitched 2 innings, but done with some sort of injury. Ferris comes in and immediately Stormy can't get it out. 2 hits, 1 earned run, and the Angels are already trailing 1-0 in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Not really great for a team that you were ignoring me this entire time while you were sitting in here, but I out loud made the note that it is a bullpen that ranks no higher than 25th in any major category statistically. So this is probably going to be an ugly game for Anaheim with Kikuchi getting out after 2 innings and having to trust one of the worst pens in baseball to get it done for the next about 6 or so. So not really looking great for the Angels.
Okay, that run just driven in, by the way, from Miguel Vargas. So we'll keep tabs on this one as we go. The total in this game at open was 8.5. I know you just had it pulled up. What was the live number?
Let's see. Minus 332 on the money line. Now at the minus 364. Number is 7.5 shaded to the under, minus 127.
7.5 on that live number. So again, we'll keep tabs on it all. Angels have been struggling, dropped 5 straight, 9 of their last 10, trying to get back on track here a little bit. There are also 3 more MLB games that are going to come our way in this window as well. We'll preview those in a little bit, but so much more that we need to get into. So let's set the table like we always do. Time to run it down.
It's time for the top headlines and topics of the day. This is the Rundown.
Excited for our guest today, beginning in about 15 minutes. VSiN Zone, Kelly Bidlin, host, producer, golf betting analyst. We're going to get his breakdown of the Cadillac Championship set to get underway from Miami tomorrow. Maybe a couple NBA plays if he has them for us. Speaking of NBA, also end of the hour, NBA.com writer Sean Powell going to stop by. In addition, JVT, to all the postseason action, potential changes as well upcoming in an attempt to reform tanking we can get into.
Yep. Quick aside, shout out to Brian M. It is a left shoulder issue, tightness to Kikuchi. So that is why he is not playing. But yes, the association very much interested in what the ramifications are of this new draft lottery 3-2-1 system that they call it. I got excited because there's a relegation zone, and I thought, like, ooh, we're going to start relegating teams to the G League. That is not the case. We are not going to have that. You just get fewer ping pong balls. So it sets up perfectly for teams like the Chicago Bulls, who there was a writer out there, I think it was Steph Noe, who put this out. If this had been the lottery system in place for, I think it was like the last 5 years, their starting 5 would have been Luka Doncic, Victor Wembanyama. It would have been a ridiculous thing given where they had finished. So
try to pull up that
yes, I'll have
info
to find
for
it
later.
But the whole point here being is that it actually is now going to benefit you to be in that actually in purgatory for a while, which is where the Bulls have been. But we'll get to the ramifications of what this means.
We'll have plenty of National Hockey League discussion today as well. No easy exits in the NHL last night. Both the Edmonton Oilers and Boston Bruins on the brink of elimination, but they say that 4th game is the hardest one to get for a reason. Bruins needed OT, but Pasta came in the clutch with a rebound from that ugly 6-1 Game 4 loss. They now go back to TD Garden, see if they can keep this thing going. And the Oilers yesterday, dominant from the drop of the puck, had 3 goals right away the first 10 minutes of this thing. Thought it was going to be another one of those crazy overs, but credit where credit's due to you, my friend.
No.
You didn't end up playing it, I know, but you talked about the plus money on the under. You're like, do you not just bet the under on principle with this number? And I said no. You would have been right.
I mean, I would have been right, but in fairness, part of my logic was that what if Connor McDavid doesn't play? Do you also bet the under? And he ultimately did. By the way, enough with the nonsense and the injuries. His comments afterwards?
Yeah.
I was never not going to play. I'm paraphrasing. Like, what? Then why are we getting, we should never believe this at all.
We'll play that audio for you a little bit later on. But yes, Chris Knobloch saying he was a game time decision. I even said on the air yesterday, I would be shocked if he didn't play in that game.
He's a big, tough hockey player.
Played the second most minutes of anybody on his team last night, other than Evan Bouchard.
He's hurt.
Meanwhile, tonight, Penguins facing elimination once again, but they have been the last 2 games as well. Found ways to win. We'll see how that goes. Yeah. I just said it. Okay, I know. That is one of 3 games that we will preview later on.
Philly's about to fly to the offseason, baby. Tell you that.
Let's get into the NBA, though. 2 potential elimination games tonight as the Pistons and Rockets look to extend their respective series against the Magic and Lakers. Got some injury updates that we'll give you in a little bit. But before we look forward, let's look back, JVT, where the big conversation point for us yesterday in the Celtics 76ers game was when the Celtics hit their threes, when they're shooting well, they win and cover. When they don't, well, they don't. And that's exactly how it played out yesterday. The C's couldn't make threes. And when you look at some of the numbers, 11 to 39 from beyond the arc, but it really fell apart in the fourth quarter. Scored just 10 total points. The final frame, 3 of 22 from the floor. They couldn't buy a bucket.
Yeah, so this is where the discourse, and I get it, like social media is not real life, but I find it funny when it comes to the discourse around the Boston Celtics, because you got this after their first loss of the series, and you got it last night. Like, see, can't trust the Celtics. This is what they always do. And it's presented as the Celtics come up short, don't show up, whatever it is. The Celtics are a high-volume three-point shooting team. High volume. So, generally, results will fall as their three-point shots do. From Tim Bontemps, and we'll give him credit, although this is just easy addition when you look at the games. In the 3 wins in this series, the Boston Celtics are 60 of 144, which is 41.6%. In the 2 losses in this series, they are 24 of 88, which is 27.2%. It sounds simple and it's dumb, and you're like, well, that can't, yeah, it kind of is. If the three-point shots start falling, then this Celtics team is much more mortal, and they have been that in the 2 losses. And again, yesterday, they shot the ball very poorly, and sure enough, they lost the game. They missed their last 14 shot attempts of the game.
Yep.
That's exactly that is what is going to happen for Boston. They're not infallible, obviously. We saw them lose a series last year because the three-point shot was not consistent. They blew some leads, and sure enough, they lost to the Knicks. Could it happen again over the course of the next few games? Yeah, absolutely. But I think it's a very simple thing to point to here, which is, yeah, they didn't shoot the ball well. They lost the game.
It seemed like Joel Embiid, too, after that first game was a little bit slow starting, coming back from the appendectomy. No issues last night. 33 points, 4 boards, 8 assists. He scored or assisted on 54 of the 76ers, 113 points. What did you think about his performance?
So I thought there was a couple of things, but look, if we could throw these up just if we have them. So I wanted to show these because one of the things I think drives you crazy about Joel Embiid is, you know, we know the talent, we know how good he is. It's when he chooses, or the areas of the floor that he chooses to play. Okay. His second half was really strong. Had about, 18 points in the second half. Really drove it home. But if you look at the first half, so let's go to the first half shot chart. You can see, Stormy, that there's a lot of empty dots along the perimeter here. He was taking a lot of perimeter shots. There's some jumpers that are outside of the painted area. There's a few shots, obviously, he makes within the restricted area, but he was really passive in taking some jumpers. Now let's show the second half shot chart for Joel Embiid. Look how much more contained this is. Yep. Look how much lower he is playing. In the first half, he takes 6 3-point attempts. He only takes 2 in the second half. All of his shot attempts, save for a few, are in the painted area. How many times did you watch him in that second half? Nikola Vucevic, he might as well have been me. He catches the ball in the low block, and he just barrels into Vucevic, who bounces off of him like 2 feet, and he goes up and finishes. At one point, I thought there was a moment where he posts up Vucevic, he backs him down. Vucevic bounces off of him like 2 feet. He goes up for the dunk, but he's like so open that he misses the dunk and has to rebound the offensive rebound and put it back up. Embiid was awesome, and he's really great when he forces the issue with his size. I hope he does this a little bit more, because when you have the two things coming together, Boston not shooting the ball well and Embiid playing the way that he is, it led to a win, and he can be a very, very dominant force. The Celtics don't have center depth. They don't have a lot of guys they can rely on. We made the joke at the beginning of the series. Joe Mazzulla has done a great job of just grabbing 6'11", 7 feet guy and going, you play center for us today. And it worked throughout the regular season. But when you're playing Joel Embiid, it shouldn't. And we saw yesterday that they don't really have an answer for him.
To your point, with Vucevic as the primary defender on Embiid, was 5 of 6 from the floor with 14 points. Yeah. So it was
not resistant. You could have put me out there and had the same results because you could have missed a shot maybe.
I know you pulled some sound from Joel Embiid.
Well, I just thought, so this is, and you'll actually relate to this a little bit too, because you were on with Michael Lombardi, and Michael Lombardi, GM of the North Carolina Tar Heels football program, one of the very adamant and vocal voices about Joel Embiid. And I've always thought, are we, and not just Lombardi, a lot, a lot of people are accusing him of faking injuries. I don't know what the point is. He's been injured a lot. He's had a lot of weird injuries as well. And he spoke to this yesterday. He seems like he's finally healthy. He's got some lift. And now it's great to just be able to play basketball and be healthy.
Yeah, the one thing about me is, I've dealt with a lot of stuff over my career. I don't complain. I just want to give as much as I can. Every single time I step on the floor, I know a lot of people might have takes of, that I might be lazy or whatever, but, every single time I'm on the floor, I want to play as hard as possible. I want to do whatever it takes to win a basketball game, whether it's on.
This dude's had a facial fracture. He had Bell's palsy. Like, there's so many things that he's dealt with.
Knee, ankle, everything, yeah.
So it's cool to see him. And yesterday there was a scary moment. He banged his knee and thought, here we go again. But
and appendicitis. He's just coming off of surgery.
So it's just all of these things. Look, the NBA and just sports are better when their dominant players are healthy and available. And maybe we're now, not maybe. We do have a series here because the Celtics have all the pressure in the world to close this thing out on the road. But Joel Embiid being healthy is good for, obviously, Philly. But for basketball in general, it was cool to see last night.
Also, congratulations to Knicks fans. I hear you don't want to fire Mike Brown anymore because I know that's it's the volatility of the emotions of New York sports fans is a little funny to me.
That was one thing that we did. I should have bet that. What did we talk about yesterday? If you like the Knicks,
they win by margin.
Yeah, they're going to win by margin. We got some numbers on that coming up a little bit later. The way this series has gone, we should not still be playing this series.
126-97, your final there with New York to now pull ahead in that set with the Atlanta Hawks. We got to step aside here. When we come back, our good buddy Kelly Bidlin on the program. We're going to preview the Cadillac Championship set to get underway tomorrow and see if he's got any NBA hot button items he wants to get into.
Hey, let me get your attention real quick, podcast listeners. I've got something for you that feels too good to be true. First, credit where credit is due. If you're listening to this podcast, you're already leveling up your betting game. You're riding along with our best bets and top angles. And when there's a good game on, you're probably getting involved with a few props and alt markets as well. But there's one more layer if you really want to step things up, and that's VSiN Pro. Yeah, I've mentioned it before, but things are only getting better for our pro subscribers. We just rolled out our MLB prop projections, breaking down some of the best edges across strikeouts, hits, home runs, and more. And that's on top of everything else pro subscribers already get, including public betting splits, expert picks, and betting guides across the sports calendar. If you haven't tried it yet, stop sleeping on it. You can get your first month for just $9.99 or save big with promo code POD26 on an annual subscription. Hit the link in the description and start cashing in with VSiN Pro. All right, now back to the show.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Signature event of the PGA Tour coming up soon. New stop, but old stomping grounds for the Cadillac Championship that's going to get underway tomorrow from Miami. Stormy Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you. Excited to have Kelly Bidlin join us here on the Progressive Guest Line. VSiN producer, host. You can catch him on a numbers game as well as Long Shots, the premier golf betting podcast. Get on YouTube, wherever you download your podcast as well, Kelly. And doing a little bit of research about this course. Friend, colleague, good buddy. But I'm trying to work my way out of saying buddy. I say buddy too much, Kelly. But I do want to ask you about this course real quickly, because looking through some of the stuff, doesn't look like there's a lot of soft spots. Water on 16 of the 18 holes, long par fours and fives. What should we be knowing about what we're getting ourselves into this weekend?
Oh, we can't hear Kelly.
We just tested so well in the commercial break, too. Unfortunate. Come on. Let us know if we can get Kelly back there real quick. He looked beautiful on the screen, though, for those of you watching on YouTube TV.
He's growing his hair out, New hairstyle. It's looking really great. Some would say looks maxing.
So enough with this. Every day you come in here talking about the what, mewing?
Mewing, yeah.
Mewing?
Yeah.
Can you tell our audience what that is? Oh, wait, we have Kelly. Kelly, are you mewing or mogging? JVT, these are his new words of the week, apparently.
He mogs Kelly. He mogs.
You know what? I know what mogging is. I believe JVT tried to teach me about the other one, but I don't really know.
Well, let's not worry about that.
I feel uncomfortable saying words on air that I don't know.
Well played. Well, let's get back to the course, because you looked like you had a really good answer. We just couldn't hear it.
Yeah, no, it's Stormy. It's exciting to be back here. This is back in Doral. We saw this tournament for so many years on the PGA Tour. It's been 10 years now, which makes me feel a little old since the last time we saw this as a WGC World Golf Championship big time event 10 years ago. Adam Scott won it then. He'll be in the event this year and has a pretty good shot. But this is big boy golf course, as you were alluding to, Stormy. There is not many bailouts here. You're gonna have to be long off the tee. This is one of, I believe, this is the longest course in the PGA Tour rotation this season at over 7,700 yards. Very, very, if you're looking for course comps, which I don't do as much of this as many other golf handicappers seem to do, but this is a lot of what you're looking at this week. Really what you were looking at Augusta. You got to be long off the tee. You have a little bit of leeway with the fairway width. You don't have to be super, super accurate, but still you want to be hitting from the fairway, obviously, as much as you can. Do have a lot of water that comes into play here. That a little bit different from what you're going to see at Augusta. 10 holes with water danger. And then the green complex is very tough. Very tough. Around the green, you're going to see some chipping tested, some scrambling tested throughout the week. So that's important to have this week. And then kind of like Augusta, from what we saw 10 years ago, this is also the biggest problem. We don't have stats from the last 10 years, really. Mm-hmm. Yes, you had some live events there, but we don't have the normal shot link data we're used to with the PGA Tour. But in the past, from what we knew in the past, putting didn't matter quite as much at this track, and that's kind of something that we see at the Masters too. So if you are doing your own handicapping at home, I would very much suggest go look at what we've seen from the Masters the past couple of years.
All right. What do we do with the favorite at the top? Is he accurately priced? Last two events for Scotty have been pretty good after some really slow starts and some rough finishes by his own account. Is this where we should be with his pricing at just about 3-1?
Yeah, I think so, John. I mean, statistically, we're still talking about a little bit of a down year for Scotty, and those finishes the last couple weeks are still covering up a couple things that he is struggling with, but the putter's good. The around the green play has been amazing. He's always been great at that, but really become one of the elite players on the PGA Tour around the greens. And yeah, I think the odds are fair. I know there might be some people wondering, okay, we saw him longer recently. Should I really be betting him at 3-1? I have no problem if you want to bet Scotty Scheffler this week, one and done. Make that your one outright bet. This is a course that sets up very well for his game. You need to be long off the tee, which he is. You're going to have to be excellent on approach, which he is, and your around the green game is really going to be tested, as we just talked about. He's one of the best. So yeah, I think you need to be aware. I am kind of betting around him this week. I did not bet on him. There are some other guys that I like this week, but I am betting around him with him very much in mind. And I think that means whether you need to look in placement markets more or the winner without markets, or just dial down what you're betting kind of in the outrights like I am this week, that's how I would suggest approaching him.
And I know one of those guys, when you say betting around, that you're looking at is actually the second shot on the board behind Scotty Scheffler in Cameron Young. What do you like about where his game is at coming into this week?
Yeah, absolutely. Interested to see where he's at and how he returns off of that disappointing result at the Masters. We saw him go T25 at the RBC Heritage, but another guy whose game sets up really, really well here. He is long off the tee, first in strokes gained off the tee over the last 16 rounds in this field. The second on approach over that time, third in bogey avoidance. So statistically lines up very well for this course. Like Cameron Young, 13-1. I think you could bet him in the winner without Scheffler market. I added a little bit there as well at 10-1. If you'd prefer just to go winner without Scheffler, don't blame me at all. But that's how I bet Cameron Young this week. Do like him this week at Doral.
Who are the other couple of outrights you have?
Yeah, other two that I took stabs on, guys that I have bet. Well, Gary Woodland I've bet a ton over the past 5, 6, 7 years. Not as much this year, but really, really impressive what he's done recently. And yeah, we know him as a big time driver and long off the tee, but just recent results. T8 at the RBC Heritage, which is not really a course that sets up well for long drivers. He was a T33 at the Masters. He won the Houston Open and had a 14th place finish at the Valspar Championship. So a really good run here recently for Gary Woodland. One of the feel-good stories on tour. Very easy to go to the window and back him with what he's had to go through over the past few years. And seeing him win earlier this year was awesome. So getting him at 60-1. Bet him at the top 10, top 20 markets as well. And another guy who I've won on earlier this year, bet a ton, Chris Gotterup. We've talked about him before on your show, I know. 30-1, the outright market. That price was a little bit off. I think he's more around 25. I think that's a little bit more properly priced. Seeing with a 3 in front of, though, made me run and jump. The numbers statistically haven't been quite as good recently for Gotterup as what we saw earlier in the year, but he's still consistently gaining on approach and around the green and with the putter. And when I know I've got that, and then the driver that he's going to bring every single time he shows up is one of the best in the field, gives you a lot of confidence at a track like this. So bet Gotterup in the outright market, covered that with a little bit of a top 5 on him.
Can you take us through some of these other derivative markets as well? I know you've got a few names for top 10, top 20, a matchup that you like this weekend as well.
Yeah, absolutely. One guy, this will make it real easy. I liked Patrick Cantlay this week. Apparently, he didn't like the idea of playing this week because he withdrew yesterday. So that Patrick Cantlay top 10 bet, you can just cross off. Don't worry about that one. Already talked about Gary Woodland. And then another guy we've talked a lot about on long shots here over the past month or so, Sam Stevens. Longer shot you're going to find in this field. Really, really good off of the tee, but kind of some of these other statistical categories he's improving on. Approach, getting a little bit better and more consistent. He's 10th in opportunities gained in this field over the last 16 rounds. Those are approach shots that set you up for a birdie opportunity within 15 feet. So he's been getting much better on approach. If you look over his course of his career, these long, tough courses, he does traditionally play very well. So the finishes have been, hit or miss. T13 last week at the Zurich. It was a team event, though. I usually just throw out everything that you see there. It was his T65 at the RBC Heritage, but a 24th place finish at the Masters, 5th in Houston. So these courses that do require a little bit more length off the tee, he's finished better in, and that's what you're going to get this week with Doral. Long, tough course, and those are courses that he has played well, not only this year, but over the course of his career too. So that's where I went top 10s, top 20s, and then one tournament matchup so far, and I might be adding on here this afternoon. Make sure to check vsin.com. I'll put a bunch in all my plays there. But Justin Rose over Harris English. Justin Rose is a guy rated out pretty highly for me this week. Didn't really feel like messing around with him, though, in an outright or kind of top 10, top 20. Going to go up against Harris English. He has been the best putter on the PGA Tour, and it's not even close so far this season. Went down kind of a rabbit hole looking at his putting numbers yesterday. Every other part of his game, though, has just been kind of meh. So I'm hoping we get a little bit of an off-putting week this week from Harris English. Also don't think his game sets up perfectly for Doral. So Justin Rose at a dog price over English. Liked that in the tournament matchup market.
All right, Kelly, did Gil update the Killer Sports NBA contest standings today, and did he give me my due that I am now tied with him for first place?
He sure did, buddy. He sure did. He said, watch out for JVT. I said, watch out for all those harder handicappers. I only have 14 spots to make up to catch you guys at the top.
Well, hey, 30 seconds. Do you have an NBA play you really like tonight?
You know what? I do. I have not talked to JVT about this at all. I wonder where he stands. But Cavaliers coming back home. I do think they get things right back at home. I played them first half, and I played their team total over 113.5. I think we see a much different Cleveland Cavaliers team back at home tonight.
I concur. I don't know if I'm ready to get hurt again. Kelly, thank you so much. Appreciate the time, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.
Of course. Thanks, guys.
Kelly Bidlin. And again, I know I gotta change it up, man. But he's my friend. He's my
pal.
bud. Old buddy, old pal, old chum.
Something you're not.
Kelly Bidlin. Check out Long Shots, though. Great episode out this week previewing the Cadillac Championship. Looking a little bit ahead as well, wherever you get your podcast, on YouTube as well. And of course, a numbers game with Gil Alexander each and every weekday. We got to step aside when we come back. We got some Major League Baseball games that are set to begin shortly. We'll preview it all when we come back. Let's do it. Talking some Major League Baseball here as we welcome you back to Money Moves, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Stormy Buonantony, Jonathan Von Tobel with you. Shout out your Angels. A Mike Trout solo shot in the fourth has this thing tied up with the White Sox at 1.
You want a stat?
Sure.
Mike Trout, with that score, has now scored 29 runs this season, which matches the American League record for March/April. He joins Mookie Betts in 2018 and Aaron Judge 2025 as the only American League players to score 29 runs before May 1st.
How many homers does he have now?
8? Let me double check that one.
No,
Don't know off the top of my head.
He's been awesome.
Yeah.
The Mariners also up 1-0 right now on the Twins where we sit here, and we've got a handful of action that's set to begin shortly, including the Yankees and Rangers. JVT. Yankees won 10 of their last 11 on the money line. They are the most bet team of the day so far from a ticket standpoint, according to BetMGM, but the number has come down a bit still. So from minus 122 on the money line to minus 113. And we will get the debut of Elmer Rodriguez for the Yankees, one of their top prospects. I saw he was playing Call of Duty Monday night in his hotel room about 11:40 p.m. when his AAA manager calls him to come downstairs to the hotel lobby for something urgent. Has no idea what it is. Ends up being the call up. So good on him. Called his parents. They made the trip from Puerto Rico out there. 1.27 ERA in 4 starts in the minors, drumming up a lot of excitement in the organization. We'll see how that translates against this Rangers lineup. Nathan Eovaldi on the other side, who has had a little bit of a tough start to the season, especially that last start, taking yard 3 times in his first 7 pitches against the A's. What do you expect today?
Yeah, man, Eovaldi, it's tough because you would expect at some point he's going to get a little bit luckier, especially when it comes to the fly balls and turning into home runs. I mean, like that's been his big issue, as you talked about. His last start was an absolute nightmare. And then you look at the rate of these fly balls, a quarter of his fly balls are turning into home runs. Like that's an insane number if one of every 4 of your fly balls is going out of the park. So one would expect that he is going to regress to the mean. You know, xFIP's a number that ties into the home run fly ball, like ratio or luck there, if you will. That's a very terrible way of putting it. But, you know, expected fielding independence like 362, so he probably deserves a little bit better here. And I would expect that. The problem is, I mean, do you want to test that theory here in a single start against the Yankees team that has a lineup that it does with Aaron Judge? I would say probably not. So you're just kind of waiting for that regression to hit positively for our guy, Eovaldi, because we know he is capable of better things. So given the price and where we're at for the Yankees and the unknown nature of what Rodriguez is going to bring to the table, I would lean a little bit here toward just staying away. But I will say this, it's an old school handicapping angle of playing on the first-time starter only because this lineup is not familiar with his stuff.
I did. I bet the Yankees minus 110 this morning. Okay. So I wanted a little fun action, a little sweat while we were on the air.
You're very anti-Call of Duty, so I am surprised.
I'm not anti-Call of Duty. I just like making fun of Kyler Murray because it's easy. That's all that is.
You gotta be complex and nuanced with your humor.
I wasn't trying to be humorous.
I mean, that's you said make fun of. It's easy. You know, you got to be.
Oh, well, you mean like that's just, it's low hanging fruit. What can I say?
I had a great bit with the A's mascot a few weeks ago that Justin remembers when it came to the elephant in the room. It was very, very good. Very nuanced and layered. Oh, it's just a joke about how we should have him in the room, but then not say anything about it.
Okay.
So we don't address the elephant in the room.
Was that like contextually around like Diana Rossini deleting her Twitter around that?
I'll explain it to you later.
All right.
It was a great show.
Sounds good. We also have Boston and Toronto set to get underway here in a little bit. Rubber match in Toronto after each team is alternated shutout wins to this point. Boston took game 1 5-0. Blue Jays got one back yesterday 3-0. Toronto priced, it looks like anywhere between minus 120, minus 130 on the money line. Run total here 8.5. Some juice on the over though. Bayo has struggled with the command.
It's putting it nicely.
1-4 ERA of 9, and looking a little deeper, 15 strikeouts compared to 37 hits in just 22 innings. But Lauer on the other side, Eric Lauer for Toronto, hasn't been a whole lot better. 1-3, 6.75 ERA. Last time we saw him against your Angels last Wednesday, 3 runs on 7 hits, 2 homers, just 3 Ks. So how's this one go?
I mean, you should have an entertaining game to watch. If you're out in Toronto, there should be a lot of runs scored. One would assume, given the statistical profiles of both of these pitchers here. Bayo is one of those guys that you expected some sort of regression, but this has been really bad. As you have mentioned, the command has been a problem. How about his last start? 3 1/3, 8 earned runs on 13 hits, got taken deep 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times in that game. Struck out 2, walked 1. That was on the road against Baltimore. You're obviously probably not going to do that again if you're him, but we just know that at this point, like, you are what you see. 9 ERA, but the expected is 8.28. Fielding independence at 8.26. Right now, this dude is just an absolute gas cannon, so you just don't want any part of it. Lauer has just been slightly better at this point right now. Seems too easy to go over, doesn't it? I mean, both of these teams here, one would expect that you're going to be able to get some success if you're either one of these lineups and have some sort of fireworks offensively today. So maybe a first 5 over. Total's 8.5. Is it still 8.5?
8.5. Yeah, it is minus 118 on the over on DraftKings right now, though.
Yeah, and your first half, your first 5 is sometimes some spots are at 5, others are at 4.5. So this seems too easy, but I would assume that you're thinking that this is going to be a high scoring game between these two.
agree. Also around top of the hour, Miami and Los Angeles, Sandy Alcantara, Tyler Glasnow going. Dodgers lost yesterday. Jansen Junk we had fun talking about his name, but he was great yesterday when all was said and done.
He's junking it up, man. It's crazy.
But as was Shohei Ohtani. And so before we looked at today's game, I did want to ask you about how yesterday transpired. The ERA now for Ohtani, best in all of baseball, 0.60. Lowest also by a Dodgers pitcher in his first 6 starts since 1985. So it's been a minute since they've had anybody doing what he's doing to open up a season. And we talked with with Adam Burke about this yesterday, the way that he is trying to focus more on pitching, and he'll pitch and not be in the lineup that day.
He wants to win the Cy Young.
Does it feel that way?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, he wants to win the Cy Young. That's what they're doing here. They want him to be able to pitch to his utmost perfect, I guess, point, if you will. That's terrible English, but you know what I'm saying. They want him to be at his best. And this is, I think, what we're going to see probably as we move forward with these starts. I mean, look at the evidence, although it's a short sample size, would tell you it's working out pretty well.
Yeah.
When he only gets to focus on it. There was it 2 or 3 games ago when he was hitting and pitching. I think he forgot that he was up or something like that. So he had to rush to get his gear on and everything so he could go out and hit. So there's probably that aspect to it as well. But I think that this is more of making sure that first off, he can maybe push for an award, make some sort of history, because to win MVP and Cy Young would be incredible for him. And also, look, man, you want a top of the order ace as you get into the postseason, and he can be just that.
Minus 350 for NL MVP. 5th on the board for Cy Young right now at 8-1.
Doesn't minus 350 seem cheap? That is a minus 350 that Shohei Ohtani plays enough games this season.
Yeah. I was going to say, how many years now have we talked about this? Like, if he is in the lineup, if he is healthy, it's his to win because of what he does.
And even if you do the stupid NBA writer thing where it's like, well, I'm going to set him to a higher standard because he won it last year. Okay, cool. He's got a sub-1 ERA and he's absolutely destroying people. He's so I think you can make the argument that minus 350 is somewhat cheap given what he has done so far, and you're just betting on him just playing. Okay. And because here's the thing, Stormy, even if he pitches, I don't know, what was the benchmark we were setting yesterday? Like 140, 150 innings, and his ERA is a flat 3. Doesn't matter. You're talking about a dude who's hitting the way he is and has 150, 160 innings, and he's got a 3 ERA. That's all enough.
Yeah,
that's all enough.
Yesterday he goes 6, gives up 5 hits, just 1 run, 9 strikeouts. They lose 2-1 because Junk was as good as he was, and they held on. How about today, though? Anything in Marlins Dodgers for you?
No.
Or anything that, okay. Well,
I'm surprised you're not bringing up the greatest development in Major League Baseball.
I was going to say, so we can move on to what I really want to talk about today. You know how Scott Van Pelt has that best thing I saw today? Well, our wonderful producer Justin put in the rundown today something that I felt that kind of emotion about when I saw the video. And unfortunately, we can't play it because MLB broadcast copyrights are the way that they are. But the Reds have implemented a free pizza giveaway with their AVS system that if they get 2 challenges right, everybody gets free pizza, which is just electric. Is that not? And if you haven't seen it, go on Twitter, go find this video, because the way the crowd absolutely erupts when they get the challenge correct was phenomenal.
It is reminiscent of, do you remember when Isaiah Thomas got into it with the fan? And there's the great interview where he's like, and he told me that if I missed the shot, that they would get free Frosties.
Oh, God, it's good.
So, yes, it's great. It is.
It's a promotion I can get behind.
I would assume that you're probably going to start to implement this a little bit more or less Major League. I wonder if Major League Baseball is going to put the kibosh on it, only because, again, you are essentially cheering against the failures of your umpires here and setting up a promotion tied to it.
Be better.
I'm with you. Just get good, as the kids would say, and you won't have this problem. But it is pretty good to tie that in. Great idea to put that in the rundown, Justin.
Reds ended up winning yesterday, too, 7-2 to open their 3-game set with the Rockies. Today, Brandon Williamson going against Tomoyuki Sagano. Reds a pretty big favorite here.
That's
John Ewing, BetMGM, tweeted out the most and least profitable moneyline teams in Major League Baseball to start the year. The Reds are number 1, plus 9.5 units. If you're betting them on the money line, they've been great.
Real quick, just build on that, because yesterday, it was Fangraph's fault, but I thought that Tomoyuki Sagano was going to start yesterday. 3.42 ERA, but a 4.83 FIP. Expected ERA 6.05. Like, we are waiting for this thing to drop for Sagano. He's not a dominant strikeout guy, has issues with home runs, getting lucky on balls in play. this dude should get got at some point. Maybe it's today against the Reds.
And I think he was scheduled, and they ended
That's
up
what I could have. I put it in my notes, and I'm never wrong.
Good reminder, all of our picks each and every day up at vsin.com. Also right now, if you're a pro subscriber, you can get access to everything we do, which includes the Kentucky Derby betting guide. Our boy Mike Somich, he's going to be on the program tomorrow. He's got breakdowns for everything you need to know. Try out our Triple Crown special now, just $14.99. Offer expires tomorrow, though. vsin.com/subscribe to learn more.
I'm really excited to try Prolon. It gives you the benefits of fasting without actually having to fully fast, which feels way more sustainable. It's designed to support metabolism, energy, and a full body reset at the cellular level. Right now, FieldSwell listeners can get 15% off site-wide plus a $40 bonus gift when you subscribe to their 5-day program. Just go to prolonlife.com/fieldswell to claim your discount and bonus gift. That's Prolon, PROLONLIFE.com/fieldswell.
You're watching Money Moves here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Never stops, and the Sharp Plays is covering it all. They've been winning for 15 straight years. All of the documented logs posted publicly as well at sharpplays.com. That kind of transparency we know can be rare in the industry. When the Sharp Plays move, the sportsbooks take notice. Advanced AI, trusted insider intel, they find the value before the numbers shift. You can start winning today at sharpplays.com. Stormy Bonantoni, Jonathan Von Tobel with you back here on Money Moves, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Few big games tonight in the NBA as the postseason rolls on. Both the Pistons and Rockets on the brink of elimination. Lots to discuss. Excited to have Sean Powell join us here to break it all down. Writer NBA.com. You can follow him on X as well at Powell2ThePeople, which unbelievable Twitter name. Sean, how are you today? Welcome in.
I'm very good. How's everybody?
Great. Appreciate you lending us some of your time. And if you don't mind, I'd love to start with this Rockets-Lakers series just because of all of the injuries surrounding this thing. We know no KD today. The questions around Austin Reeves, who really wants to go. What's the status of Luka Doncic moving forward? Can you take us into your perspective on everything here?
Well, the Lakers are in really a good position because there's no urgency to play any of those guys, even if they're sort of like on the fence physically. You bought yourself enough time. I think LeBron James obviously has played beyond his 41 years and put yourself in a fantastic position. It's also helped that, the Rockets have been without Kevin Durant for pretty much most of the series. And, what his status is going to be going forward, and even if he plays, how healthy will he be? That's a big question mark. And besides, just aside from just Kevin Durant, the Rockets just simply haven't played well. So if you're the Lakers, this series has gone about as well as you could imagine, because if you finish them off, you'll probably buy yourself a few more days for Luka and Austin Reeves to get healthy for the Oklahoma City Thunder.
A big picture, Sean, as we spin this forward, likelihood is that the Lakers will move on, obviously, so let's assume that is the case. If you get Luka back, he's given the Thunder trouble in the past in a series a couple of years ago, but P.J. Washington also turned into Ray Allen in that series. What do we do with that matchup? Could they give the Thunder a fight, or is this series more about this matchup with Houston as opposed to what the Lakers are doing correctly?
Well, yeah, obviously they have to take care of business at hand, but let's just take that leap forward and assume the Lakers do advance. Whether they can give Oklahoma City trouble, my gut feeling is no. But, you don't know if Oklahoma City is going to be with Jalen Williams. And I get it. They're deep. They can compensate for some of his loss. But, if the Lakers are a hot team right now, and, if Luka, Austin Reeves, LeBron James, if they're all bringing their A games, they can provide some problems. I would say for the Lakers, the biggest issue in that series would be defensively, and whether they, have what it takes to, use defense to beat Oklahoma City 4 times. And we've seen throughout much of the season, the Lakers have had 2 problems, defense and outside shooting. And if those 2 problems flare up against Oklahoma City, they don't stand much of a chance.
Well, first things first, let's see if they can handle business tonight as 4.5-point home favorites in this one, total 208.5. How about Raptors Cavs? How surprised were you to see Cleveland as a favorite and back-to-back games on the road ultimately go down? Bigger favorite today back at home.
I was a little surprised by how Donovan Mitchell and James Harden played. They really didn't bring their A games. Harden in particular had more turnovers than field goals. That's problematic, obviously, because he's a high usage player who has the ball in his hands. And if he's turning the ball over, obviously the Cavs don't get those scoring opportunities, and it goes right to Toronto. And again, those two just haven't played well. And when they don't play well, it makes it hard for the rest of the Cavaliers to get in step because, again, Donovan Mitchell and James Harden have the ball in their hands a lot, and they create for their teammates. You also saw Evan Mobley struggle as well. As far as the Raptors, I mean, look, they had a good homestand. Colin Murray-Boyles has really outplayed any of the Cavaliers' big men, and that's a problem for Cleveland. I mean, you would think they're the more experienced team and probably the better team, if only because of the seeding. But that series is tied 2-2, and if the Cleveland Cavaliers don't win tonight, it can go either way.
Can you expand on Mobley a little bit? You mentioned this in your article about the 3 things to watch for this game, but Mobley has been, I don't know if disappointing is the word, but highly touted. We know how good he can be. He's improved, as you noted in your article, on both ends of the floor. But offensively, what can they do to unlock him a little bit more?
You know, that's a great question. First of all, Harden's got to stop turning the ball over. If you don't have the turnovers, maybe those passes end up in hand of Mobley. I think he kind of regressed a little bit during the regular season. You know, 2 years ago, he was, all-star, was coming up, had a breakout year. And then this year he kind of flatlined, particularly offensively. Now, there was a stretch after they obtained James Harden that he kind of, righted the ship a little bit and played better offensively. But then in this series, he's kind of regressed. He's got to be a little bit more active. He's got to cause a little bit more problems for Toronto. They just haven't gotten that from him yet. But, there's still time. And he's a good player. It's just a matter of how long he's going to stay down, how long he's going to be in the slump.
Talking NBA postseason with Sean Powell of NBA.com. Make sure you check out all of the work. Joining us here on the Progressive Guest Line. Also, third game of the day, but actually the first. The Magic and Pistons going head-to-head. I don't know how many people had the 8th seed pushing Detroit to the brink like this and the way that they have. How do you see tonight shaking out for the Pistons back at home?
Well, I get it. It's a 1 seed versus an 8 seed. Orlando has too much talent to be an 8 seed. I think everybody can agree to that. I mean, yeah, they're there numerically. They're an 8 seed, but they're a much better team. That I cannot explain how they would just look terrible down the stretch of this season, and they really haven't had a good season overall. And I get it. Franz Wagner was hurt for much of it, but still, this team has it's a really good team. So. Am I surprised? Not that much. Although the Pistons did dominate, I wouldn't say dominated the East, but they basically stayed in the top spot in the East for much of the year. The biggest surprise I think I have in this series is how poorly Cade Cunningham has played. He's been a little bit reckless with the ball, hasn't shot well from deep. That's also been very problematic for Detroit. But for the Magic, again, I just think this team is finally playing up to its potential. Paulo Banchero in particular. He went through an up-and-down season. So they're healthy. They're playing better. They're taking advantage of it inside. Jalen Duren hasn't played well for the Pistons. So if this continues, look, the Magic will move on. I wouldn't be shocked, but I would say mildly surprised.
The big news, so last thing before we let you go, the big news of the day, I feel like, outside of actually what's going on the court, is the anti-tanking reform in the NBA. And JVT, I know we're going to talk about this a little bit more coming up in the show. What did you take away most from what's been put out there and sent to the team GMs about what potentially come down the pike? And do you agree with what the league is trying to put together here?
Well, I kind of agree what the league is trying to put together. But look, it feels like, I'm reading like a 400-page manual. I still haven't absorbed it all, made rhyme or reason for who has the better odds, who doesn't. They're trying to obviously discourage tanking, and I get that. The thing that I really wonder about is what about teams that aren't necessarily tanking? They just aren't good enough. Will this hurt their chances of getting a top pick? I don't know. I think I want to see it work first. You've got to give it a couple years to see if it really got rid of tanking. But if I'm a rebuilding team, I'm a little bit worried. I could, put my players out there and they can play as hard as they can. Or if I'm a team that had some injuries, my remaining players can play as hard as they can. And then what if I end up with, say, the number 8, 9, or 10th pick? And then there's a team that, that's, a little bit better than me ends up with the first pick. So I think we have to see how it works out. I get the intention. I agree with the intention. But the implementation, I just really want to see it first.
I mean, Indiana's a pretty good example, right? They didn't want their star to tear his Achilles in the NBA Finals in Game 7, and yet here they are competing for a top lottery pick, and they could get screwed over if this was the system for them. And teams in the future, their situation could be hurt by that too.
No doubt about it. Sean, thank you so much for the time today. We appreciate it. I know it's busy with all the action going on right now, so thank you.
Anytime, guys. Appreciate it.
And again, follow him on X at maybe the best social media handle of all time, Powell to the people.
He said anytime. Call him again in 20 minutes and see if that's true.
Yeah, we need more, actually, because we didn't get enough reaction from last night. We were just pushing it forward to today. I need more.
I do love, because I say that too when I end interviews. I don't, I guess, really mean it, but I do wonder if he did. Call him again in 20. Hey, you got another 15?
Can I bug you a little bit later on? Well, I mean, I don't know if you just have the time because you're on the air so much. Like, whether it's here with us on VSiN.
So, I mean, what are you talking about?
You do it. Well,
do I miss shows? I don't think so.
I'm saying,
and yet I have multiple jobs.
I'm saying you're very productive. You go on other shows as a guest. You work other shows as well. You chose that life. I have to travel. I don't know what to tell you. I do.
I have a tweet.
I would like to know, how can I do a game in Utah without being in Utah?
Got to follow something up. Somebody sent something in.
Okay.
Well, I appreciate you for listening, but I will prove you wrong.
Well, I love that. We'll be right back.